they say it's a secret Hawaiian system for health, wealth, peace, and more. And for people who are interested in it, there's a book by Joe Vitale from The Secret called Zero Limits. So that's a great introduction. Well represents the ease of the process, actually. So Joe Vitale, he came across this internet viral craze about this man called Dr. Hew Len, who made a significant difference to Hawaii Hospital. He was having a experience in that environment that was unheard of in terms of patients getting well. So I'll take you through the story of Dr. Hew Len and Hawaii State Hospital. I'll tell you what the Ho'oponopono actually is. There's a traditional versus the modern version. We're going to use the modern version. Morrnah Simeona, she is the one who's created the modern version, and I'll let you know a bit about her. I'll tell you what the actual process is and 4 sentences that are going to shift your energy and can really shift and change your life. And that's what I want you to use, these 4 sentences, on the aspects that need cleansing. We're going to talk about zero limits, is where inspiration comes in, and what's the difference between intention versus inspiration. Because as people on our personal development journey, we're often told to set the intentions, aren't we? So I'm going to let you know how that may be limiting. Dr. Hew Len, he worked at Hawaii State Hospital in 1984, and it was a high security men's unit. There was a lot of violent patients. They were in a secluded unit. There was violence between patients, between staff and patients. They rarely had visits from family and friends. They were not allowed to really go outside without the psychiatrist writing something for them. If they were, they had to be in braces and ankle braces. And there was a high staff sick leave. People were always, taking sick days. And the building, it was in complete disrepair. Now, take into mind, these people who are in this unit are often there for years. No, I'm not talking 1 or 2 years. I'm talking like 6, 7, 8 years. So Dr. Hew Len, in a matter of just 3 years, managed to create a whole different environment. And what it was that seclusion rooms were no longer in use. There was no patient restraints. It was rare that there was any violence. The patients were responsible for their own care. And that's very much what the Ho'oponopono is about, is you're responsible for everything in your life. They had off-unit recreation activities like tennis and jogging. They had work activities like car washing, in-unit recreational activities like cookie baking and shoe shining. I don't know how shoe shining is a real great activity. And also, they found that the family and friends came to visit the patients a lot more, but also that the staff, they all of a sudden became very overstaffed because they weren't calling in sick anymore. And previously, just 3 years prior, they would paint the building and really try and keep it in good repair. As soon as they put the paint up, it started peeling off. And after Dr. Hew Len did this process, the building was always in this pristine repair, and it was only in 3 short years. So what did he do? He actually stepped away from the norm. Dr. Hew Len never saw a patient one-on-one in a clinical sense. He didn't attend staff meetings. And also, he did no counseling. So how could he have achieved that without that traditional way of being? So something shifted. So he's done something that's a bit different. And what he did was he did a cleansing process. He said, I did the Ho'oponopono process of repentance, forgiveness, and transmutation for whatever was going on within me that I experienced consciously or unconsciously as problems before, during, and after leaving the unit each time. How he healed others is he healed himself. It's a simple case of as within, so without. So Dr. Hew Len believes that there are therapists think they're there to help people. And if you think about it, therapists, teachers, counselors, lawyers, everybody, they all think they're there to help people and fix people. But the reality of it is, in the essence, we need to fix ourselves, because what we're experiencing within us will then flow out to outside of us. And that's the process he actually took. He says that once you shield yourself of the program, because it's a program of energy that's running in you of these memories, if you can cancel them within yourself, then they get canceled in the patient. And that's what actually happened in this instance. The process is called the Ho'oponopono, and Ho means cause and Ponopono means perfection. So it's basically to make right or rectify an error. So I look at it as bad data that's running through our system, our energetic system. And if you think about it, it's painful thoughts tainted by memories of the past. Because if you think about really what's getting in your way and each of the things that you wrote down that is getting in your way, wouldn't you say a lot of it's come about from data that you've been collecting over time to say you're not worthy, you're unlovable, and you're full of ego? So that's really what we need to cleanse and move on. So if we release the energy of these errors, these data errors, which cause the imbalance and disease, we can take total control of our energy system and also start influencing the world around us in a really positive way. Because this is, I know we always talk about in the law of attraction that if it comes into our life, it's our responsibility, or everything we attract in our lives is our responsibility. Dr. Hew Len takes it another step. If you're watching the news and you see people's dramas happening on life, then it's your responsibility to cleanse that too. Hence why I don't watch the news. One less thing for me to cleanse. But anything that comes into your life. So if you're talking to a friend, a colleague, and they are complaining to you or telling you about some aspect of their life that is not serving them, it's your responsibility, just in the fact that it's been presented to you, to cleanse it. So that's just taking it to another step, which means we are that connected with divinity and source. So he does take it quite seriously. And even when you're in a room with him, somebody will say, oh, the air conditioning's cold or something. He's going, well, go and turn it down. He's that specific about it. He's quite a funny man, actually. He's got a good sense of humor. What we've got to acknowledge is that the problem isn't with anybody or any situation or any object. It's always within us. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can cleanse it and transmute it. At Hawaii State Hospital, he actually sat in a room and he took their folders, their patient folders, and he read them. And as he read them, certain thoughts and feelings were coming up because some of them were quite violent, disruptive, uncomfortable. And as those emotions came up within him, he actually cleansed them within him. And then that energy then transferred to them. Every day, that's all he did, was just do the folders. And whatever he had interaction with them or the staff or the building, he would cleanse that as well. So for example, if you ever go into a room, sometimes it's had people in it all day, if you check into the energy of the room, you'll feel the room is tired. That's what he was doing with the building. So really rejuvenating and regenerating energy. He healed the errors within himself, which in turn healed them, and had that big turnaround in just 3 years. What you need to do, you just need to cleanse. And it's cleansing your energy, your stinking thinking, all the fears, anything that comes up that makes you feel a bit, technical term, yuck about yourself. We don't want to waste time of the how, when, why, because we can go to therapy for 10 years for that. So let them take care of that. We sometimes just need to acknowledge, and that was the point of that process that we just did, is to acknowledge what the barrier is so we can just cleanse it. We don't need to go to the depths of why it's occurred, because acknowledge it sometimes just lets it go away unto itself, but it gives us an opportunity. When we just acknowledge and cleanse, we get out of the way of ourselves. And as soon as we step outside of ourselves is when we lose our power. So if you hear yourself complaining, blaming, whinging, that is taking the responsibility and putting it outside. And then that's when we actually lose how powerful we can be to shift everything. So we want to stay within always, even if it's not as we perceive our stuff to deal with. The fact that it's presented means it's our stuff to deal with. And the other thing is that it lets us let go of the problem inside us forever. You don't even need to believe that the Ho'oponopono works. You just have to do the cleansing, and for some reason, it's just like EFT, it just works. So there's two aspects of it. There's the traditional Ho'oponopono and the newer version, which is called self-identity Ho'oponopono. And the first one is like a facilitated group. So we would all get together and we would all say what our issues were, and the other people would comment on them and ask for forgiveness for you and cleanse them on your behalf. The difference between the variety that we're talking about tonight is that it's an individual focus, and only you need to be present to solve the problems. You don't need the group. It's the ancient Hawaiians used to do. you have that ability to forgive yourself. You don't need anything outside you to forgive yourself. And what the Ho'oponopono isn't, it's not a religion. There's no teachers or gurus there. It's basically information just being passed on. And also, the creator is your only teacher, and they believe that you have a direct connection. So creator, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. The traditional ritual looked at prayer, identifying the problem, stating the transgression, discussion, identifying the negative entanglement, sharing the feelings, confession, releasing the problem, cutting off the problem, and summarizing and reaffirmation of the bonds, and then closing prayer. So it was a big, if you wanted to cleanse, you had to wait for everyone to get together to do your process. Thankfully, we don't have to do that anymore. The process is in the second, so that's a huge advantage. This is the lady that actually changed the whole tradition, and her name is Morrnah Simeona. And she was the founder of Self-Identity, and she modified the tradition in 1976. And the Ho'oponopono was actually even introduced to the UN. It's a really powerful process, and she was actually listed as a living treasure of Hawaii in 1983 because she had such an impact not only for this tradition, but for the world. And she said to have peace within the individual reflect through the community, society, the nation, and the universe. Regardless of race or creed, the doorways to the new age are peace, balance, wisdom, and love in all life and creation. And Ho'oponopono is the key. Does that sound good to you guys? If you could create that? Peace, love, wisdom. The purpose of this gift of life from the divine is to clean, erase the old data, and find your own Shangri-La. And she says, where is that? That's within you, which is beautiful. That's what we want to create. That's the essence of peace. There are 3 stages of awakening with the Ho'oponopono. First is the victim stage. Let's blame, let's, have our tantrums and have a sense that we have no control. Then we think, oh, no, hold on a second. I've got more control than this. So you go into that phase where I'm going to control it. And you hold on to life that tight that you can hardly move with it. Then you have an awakening that there is no control. Your intentions are limited and limiting because we only know what we know. Just as we did that meditation tonight, sometimes your mind will stop the even greater realization because you're trying to link the understanding to your 3D world. So that's why it's important to clean and have that opportunity to expand your information. We also realize after time that we can't control everything, try as we might, and as exhausted as we might like to be. And then things don't turn out as we'd like them to sometimes. So that is a realization of awakening. But then you can use this process to surrender to that greater power, so that divine universal energy. And also you start to see miracles when you let go. And that's the whole perspective thing, isn't it? We're so quite narrow in our perspective. So the more we expand, and the other thing is we don't need to know everything. It's that's the beautiful part of the great mystery. Do we want to know? Who doesn't? A surprise every so often is not going to give us a meltdown. Just keep in mind that releasing and surrendering is probably one of your best tools in your toolbox because it doesn't mean you're giving up. It just means you know when to let go. You no longer need to control because, as we said, we don't really have the control anyway. We just have choices, and that's all part of the great mystery. Only the divine knows, and that's the point of creation versus co-creating. Why would we create on our own when we're not plugged into the bigger picture? Keep in mind that you're co-creating so that you're working with that greater energy. Also, practice that moment by moment connection with the divine because that's when inspiration comes through. And as you were saying, that when you had that river flow, there's space for something to enter in. Otherwise, it's so constricted, you can hardly move. There's no opportunities. That's why it's important to really leave space for inspiration and also live with gratitude because situations do unfold. How many people here have a regular practice of gratitude? And is that a daily thing or... Yeah, good. So something that you're picking up on is you're setting the foundation of the day. We often think that we have to get to work, check the emails, race out the door. But if we really want to get to work, that's the work. the personal development, the foundation, that is your true work. And I know in the past for myself, I used to leave that last if I could fit it in at the end of the day. And now I have to make it first. And that really shifted the way I operated in the world. There's three parts of the self to restore balance. It reflects what we've been talking about to date with the subconscious and the conscious. They have the unapili, which is the lower self of the subconscious, and that's your emotions, your feelings, that animalistic expression of the mind, and it's also the memory bank or internal computer. Then they have the uhani, which is the middle self, and the conscious, which is the reasoning, power to discriminate, make choice, and express willpower. And that lower self's teacher, so it, as we know, feeds the subconscious. And then they have the higher self, the superconscious, which is the connection between the individual and the cosmos, which is the universe, the divine, God, whatever you want to call it. And it guides and protects us and only has love and concern. So the Ho'oponopono really looks at weaving those three aspects together. If you can get alignment across all three, you have a lot more peace and balance, but it's done through cleansing. So what is this magical cleansing? The process actually is, and this is what you can practice over the next few weeks or a lifetime, we're responsible for not only ourselves, but our situations and those around us. As soon as we recognize that there's an issue, we start cleansing immediately. Then you don't need to be clear on what's the root of the problem. You just need to know that there's an issue. Okay, so you don't need to delve deep into it. You have to understand that you're blocking your well-being, and basically that's through that lack of love, of pinching off from that source connection. We want to forgive ourselves of pinching that off, and that allows the flow to happen again. If you think about your day-to-day, all our problems basically begin with our stinking thinking. It's the old data. The depression is that fear of the past. The anxiety is the fear of the future. It's just this meme that is running through our minds that is a virus. We have to understand that memories are attached to thoughts, and then thoughts are attached to painful memories, places, or things. Memories are programs that keep replaying, and they can be shared. If you think about some of the behaviors and thoughts you have, who did you get them from? Sometimes parents, colleagues. So just think about if we don't cleanse that within ourselves, we're sharing them with our children and colleagues as well, and friends. And you may want to be the place where that stops and start cleansing. We want to release the memory by sending love to the divine, and the divine hears and responds at the right time. And the right time is always now. Our intellect doesn't solve the problem, it just manages it. Our mind is a master at managing, but who wants to manage when we want to flourish? We don't want to manage, we want to let go. So the Ho'oponopono, the divine is taking painful thoughts, cleansing and neutralizing it, and purifying it. What do we have to do? We've got to cleanse, neutralize, and purify energy. We have the energy released, and we create a void. Once we've got some space, that's when inspiration comes in. That's what they call zero limits in the Ho'oponopono, that blank slate. It's this simple. All you've got to say whenever an issue comes up is, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. That's it. So that was a lot of explanation for those 4 sentences. Just, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. That is the cleansing process. I love you. What does that mean? It's saying that love is a great healing power. It's acknowledging that. You don't have to feel it for it to work. You just have to do the process. Fake it till you make it, basically. It's like sending the creator an SMS of love, and then that gets reverberated through us and back to us. And in that reverberation, we're cleansing ourselves. We will have to remember that the creator doesn't need love from us. So when we're saying I love you, you're actually saying it to yourself, because it's a given from the divine. And we're simply tuning into that frequency of love when we're saying it. And then repetition, after time, you'll start to get that love feeling. So when you're saying I love you, that's the meaning behind it. That's the vibration behind it. I'm sorry. You're taking responsibility for the negative manifestation, that negative data. And you're creating an opportunity for healing. You're not directing your apology at source. You're directing it towards yourself, because you're basically saying, I'm sorry for not living a full life. I'm sorry for pinching myself up from source's bounty and gifts that they want to give you. So it's acknowledging that within yourself. And also, you don't have to grovel, just acknowledge, and you can say sorry, because you're saying sorry to yourself for not living that limitless, expanded life. So that's the meaning behind I'm sorry. Then please forgive me. Forgiveness for forgetting how much the Creator loves me. Again, it's all about us. We're not forgiving anyone outside ourselves, just the essence within us. Forgiveness for shutting the Creator out and missing out on wonderful experiences we could have had. As I said, we're just forgiving ourselves. It's already granted because they don't hold any resentment towards us. Source doesn't hold resentment. It's more for our well-being that we're saying this. So please forgive me. And finally, thank you. We're acknowledging that what we've sent out there is going to be fulfilled. It's just a natural state of affairs. The divine or source is already showering us with love, and the Creator doesn't need you to do the Ho'oponopono. We need tools on the 3D world. It's just thanking yourself for doing the process and thanking Source for delivering that cleansing vibration. And remember, Source isn't a concierge. You don't have to ask for things. You can just clean. Because if you clean, you give the space to manifest anyway. So it's that reverse psychology kicker. So, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And you're going to find that as you practice this, you turn into a parrot after a while. It can become a little, sometimes OCD, but just trust that it's meant to be. Any thoughts, concerns, feelings, issues with yourself or anything that comes and presents to you, you should clean on. So say, for example, if I'm having a difficult conversation with you, I can be saying that, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, to you, through me, for both of us. Okay, so you can use it for a number of different ways that I'll give you specific examples about. So the Ho'oponopono, apart from that very basic 4 sentences, has some additional tools. One of them is called blue solar water. And it's taking a blue bottle that doesn't have a metal cap and just filling it with water and putting it out in the sun for about 15 to 60 minutes. But intuitively feel how long you feel that water has to be out there. And it's when you drink it, it's very cleansing. They really encourage you when you're with the computer to drink it up, but you can bathe in it, cleanse in it, cook with it, use it in your iron, whatever you choose. It's probably one of the biggest tools that they use. And you'll notice once you do that, if you take water that has just been sitting inside and you take the solar water, the blue solar water, when you taste it, it'll taste different. So give it a little bit of a test. Another tool they have is something called CEEPORT. And CEE means cleanse, erase, erase. And it's a support from which peace through eternity can be created. All you have to do is go and get the symbol that you can easily find on the internet, and you can make it into a little card or a little bookmark. And whenever you want to cleanse something, you can just swipe the card over it. So say your finances, swipe them over your bills, or you can create a bookmark, and when you create it, put it in the book, you'll find that when you're reading, the information that you specifically need to get for right now will almost pop out at you, which is a pencil with an eraser at the end. It's a very powerful tool. You cleanse the pencil by mentally saying dewdrop. And you're thinking, how do they come up with these waters and jelly beans? So they've got a whole bunch of tools. They're divinely inspired, so we'll go with it. Okay. Dewdrop cleanses the pencil very quickly. And then you can wave the pencil with the eraser end over what you want to cleanse. I have a list of the people attending my events, and I just take the pencil and I just put the eraser over the list and say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I've cleansed the whole list. Another woman who worked in a hospital, she was doing the rounds, and that morning everybody complained of being constipated. So she got the patient list, she did that process, and by the afternoon, everybody had freed up a little bit and could do what they needed to do. So there's a whole bunch of ways you can use this. It's the same with bills. If you want to just do it quickly, because if you have a specific pencil, once you've programmed it, it knows the deal. So you just have to say pencil, 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 and it'll cleanse for you as well. So these are just very simple, probably some of my favorite tools that the Ho'oponopono came up with. Because being human, we have to have some tools. We can't have things be that simple. That's just satisfying our mind. And then the last one I'll share with you is ice blue. It's something you mentally say. You just say ice blue to yourself. That vibration washes over you. And it's this general spiritual cleanse of the physical, mental, and emotional parts of yourself. Coming back to the point of, can I ice blue other people? Yes, I can, but I always start with myself. I live and have to drive sometimes at night through kind of long, dark roads. I ice blue me, then I ice blue my car. Okay? And I ice blue the passengers in it with me. So it's just a very simple cleanse. They're probably the 4 that I've just shown you the most popular tools. But otherwise, it just comes back to, I love you, I'm sorry. The last thing I want to cover with you is this whole inspiration and intention, because as we know and discovered tonight, we've only got a small view of the world. From their perspective, they say 1 bit of consciousness equals 1 million bits of unconscious or subconscious. The mind gets in the way of the natural flow of things, as some examples came through, and we need to clear and get back to zero. And that's why it's called zero limits, because there's no limitation on what we can achieve. Imagine a place of zero is like a blank slate from which source can speak to us. With zero limits, we often don't have a clue of what's going on in reality. We don't have control over everything, even though we'd like to. We can heal whatever comes our way through this cleansing process. We're also 100% responsible for all our experiences. So that's things we can control, for lack of a better word. Our ticket to zero limits is saying the cleansing statement of, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And inspiration is more important than intention. And I know that we're always taught to focus on the intention. And intention is great because attention goes and our energy flows there. But the difference between intention versus inspiration, if you think about it, if you set an intention for the day, that's great. And it's very mind focused, isn't it? And who's deciding that attention? We are. What happened if we allowed Source or the universe to decide our intention? And that's the inspiration. So can you see the difference, that there is a possibility that we might be more expanded? But saying that, we still want to set intentions, because at least this gets us off that negative bandwagon of, oh, I've got to go to work today, I don't want to do this. Intentions are set in that murkiness of memories and programs, because as we said, we only know what we know. There's memory, there's the thinking, and the inspiration is the allowing. So memory is thinking, inspiration is allowing. And some of us have a bit of a challenge about the allowing. The divine sends the inspiration, but we don't always hear or act on it or clear our minds, which was the point of that meditation, that clear, calm, and collected. There's the monkey mind. There's no space for the divine to speak to us. We want to clear all our programs and have zero limits, and then inspiration comes. So literally you see all of a sudden something being written on your page that might be different to what you thought might be the ideal. So remember, you're totally responsible. You're always at the scene of the crime. How do you transform the world? Well, we have to cleanse and unlock within inside ourselves. Use it on ourselves, and we don't use it on others. We use it through ourselves. Because remember, what's happening outside is happening within us. It's the purpose of life to be restored to love moment by moment. How to use it in everyday life. If you have a challenging relationship, I don't know if any of you have those, but a challenging relationship, it's memories of being replayed. You know how sometimes we say we have emotional baggage? That's our memories and our day-to-day making that happen. Once we identify that there's an issue, we can start cleansing on it. Whenever you're thinking of your relationships or anything like that, you can just say those 4 sentences, and it actually erases the old data. You have to acknowledge and then love and forgive and thank the lessons and cleanse. So that's an example for relationships. If you have to have an unsettling conversation, sometimes we worry about it before, during, and after. You can cleanse before, during, and after. If you cleanse before, you'll often find that the conversation flows a lot better. And you can even look at it energetically to see what it looks like beforehand, and you might see it a bit murky, cleanse, and then re-look at it. You'll see that the energy's probably opened up a bit. Business issues, if you have any business issues or financial issues, you cleanse yourself and the business will prosper. What you want to do is allow that inspiration to come through, and that will create the financial and well-being. And you can also ho'oponopono places, your house, your bedroom, hospitals, airplanes, and things like that. So what you do is you can train any of those aspects to cleanse themselves. So I'll say to my dog Safi. Safi, if you want to learn to cleanse yourself, all you've got to do is say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And then that allows them to cleanse themselves. If I get on an airplane, the first thing I do is cleanse the whole plane. I'll even cleanse the seat I'm on because it allows it to regenerate. If we set this room up to say, room, you can cleanse yourself just by saying, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. We're empowering every aspect of energy we come across. So there's a real opportunity. And hospitals, if you work in hospitals, I really suggest it might be a good opportunity to do that. And we can also cleanse the higher essence of others, which is what I was just talking about. I can cleanse, say, a relative, but I don't want to be in their space and influence them on, because that's not on type thing. But I can talk to their higher essence, and that's the wording. If you would like to learn to cleanse yourself, you just have to say. So you're giving them the opportunity. You're not pushing something on them. You can basically teach anything and anybody to cleanse. And I know I've had a hire car once and it wasn't working so well, and I did that process and all of a sudden it worked perfectly for the whole time. So it does actually work. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you equals 0 limits, and that's where you become limitless. So it's a simple process. Does anyone have any questions about the process? Easy. You become like a parrot to begin with, and after you kind of get in the energetic flow, you can just say, I love you, and the rest is implied. So, no, you just say it to yourself. Well, you might make extra friends. No, you can just say it in the mind. In the mind. It's in the mind and in the energy. Mm. Mm-hmm. You say it for yourself. So remember how Dr. Hew Len, he was reading the files and what was it bringing up within them, within him, he would cleanse on that. So say if you wanted to help someone else, say you had a sick relative, and as you think of that, it makes you feel sad or unsettled, then you would cleanse on sad and unsettled. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Sadness. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Unsettled. And by cleansing it within you, that transmutes out to the world around you. Does that make sense? So you've got to make sure that when you're cleansing, you're tapping into how it makes you feel.
You're having a difficult conversation or interaction and say, I'm feeling angry and
Yes.
needing to control.
Yes.
I'm saying this to myself.
Correct. Yes. And in those, correct, because it's none of our business what happens with anyone else's experience. So we just want to make sure that our experience is cleansed and whole and from that loving place, and that floats out to everybody anyway. In the instance that you're talking about, sometimes you're having that feisty conversation. You don't have time to think, I feel angry, I feel annoyed, I feel that. Just start cleansing. Okay, because you don't have time to do the audit of emotions. You just know that there's an issue because something feels, as I said, technical term, yuck. So just start from there. Okay. It's powerful as many people do it as well, because it means that we're cleansing for ourselves always, and then that goes out into the universe anyway. If you think about it, Dr. Hew Len was able to pretty much clean out a ward that had been disruptive and diseased for such a long time in 3 short years when people sat there for decades. He was just doing it through him. But imagine if collectively we all did it. It would make a huge shift into consciousness. Teach this process to as many people as you want. I mean, it's not hard. And like I said, you can even just say things to their higher self. If you want to learn how to do it, all you have to do is this, and leave it. Get out of their way. Let the control. And it's just you talking to the higher self. So it's quite easy to do and quite easy to make a big ripple. I heard an example of a woman. She had a building business and it was struggling financially, and she started practicing the Ho'oponopono, and she went out into the warehouse and she could hear the nails crying. Literally picked up the energy of some of the materials in this building construction business. And when she started cleansing them, she realized what was happening is that they wanted to stay in the realm of the comfortable space that she had created, and they didn't want to go out into the big harsh world. So then she started ho'oponoponoing them, and she would send that energy out into the space that they were going to as well. And all of a sudden, things didn't have, there weren't as many accidents, things didn't tend to fall over as often. It was very odd to see. So it's really important that we pay attention to the signs. And as I said, if anything comes into your consciousness, be it you watch something on the news about a bombing or an earthquake, you got to cleanse. It's part of our sort of responsibility. If a friend is complaining to you, cleanse on what they're saying, cleanse on what they're saying, because there's a reason why it's come up. If you work with challenging people, have situations where there's life or death situations, you're there for a reason. And if we can help cleanse that energy, we're being of service. There's rings, there's bracelets. If you look online, if you go to like Ho'oponopono, just look up anything and you can get the cards and the bookmarks and all that sort of stuff. But it is something that is, self-regenerating. This is Morrnah's cleansing prayer. So let's say it together. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son as one. If I, my family, relatives, and ancestors have offended you, your families, relatives, and ancestors in thoughts, words, and actions from the beginning of our creation to the present, we ask for forgiveness. Let this cleanse, purify, release, cut all the negative memories, blocks, energies, and vibrations, and transmute these unwanted energies to pure light. And it is done.